Jai Shri Ram. So we'll continue the reading number 46 with the Lanka Kand. So today we'll be finishing the Lanka Kand and starting the first descent of the Uttar Kand, where Shri Ram prepares for return to Ayodhya. So this is the last descent of the Lanka Kand. Save me, chief of Raghu's line, bearing an excellent bow and shining arrows in your hands. A furious wind of disperse the mass of clouds in the form of colossal ignorance, a fire to consume the forest of doubts, and delightful of the gods. You are both with and without attributes, a shrine of virtues, and most lovely to look at. Nay, you are a burning midday sun to scatter the darkness of delusion. A veritable lion to kill the elephants of lust, anger, and pride. Pray, constantly abide in the forest of the devotee's mind. A severe frost to blast the lotus bed of sensual desires. You are generous beyond conception, nay, playing the role of Mount Mandar for churning the ocean of mundane existence. Kindly stave off my fear of birth and death, and transport me across the stormy ocean of mundane existence. Possessed of a swarthy form with lotus eyes, befriender of the meek, reliever of the suppliant's agony, take up your abode in my heart forever. O King Ram, with your younger brother Lakshman and Janak's daughter, O delight of the sages, jewel of the terrestrial globe, Lord of Tulsidas and destroyer of fear. When, my lord, your coronation takes place at Kausalapur, Ayodhya, I will come to witness your benevolent role, O ocean of mercy. When Lord Shiva had finished his prayer and left, Vibhishan then came to the Lord. Bowing his head at the latter's feet, he submitted in gentle terms, Listen to my prayer, O Lord, wielding the sarang bow. My Lord, you have killed Ravan with all his kinsfolk and army and spread your sacred renown throughout the three spheres. And above all, you have shown mercy in every way to me, humble, impure, low-born, and mean-minded as I am. Now, my Lord, sanctify your servant's abode by your holy presence. Bathe yourself and beguile the exertion of the battle. Then inspect the treasury, palaces, and wealth, and gladly bestow, my gracious Lord, whatever you please on the monkeys. Pray, accept me as your own in every way, my Lord, and then proceed to Ayodhya, taking me along with you. Even as the Lord, who is so compassionate to the meek, heard these polite words, his large eyes filled with tears. Listen, brother, what you say is quite true. Your treasury and palaces are all mine, my own. But when I recollect Bharat's condition, every moment that passes seems an age to me. Clad in the robes of a hermit with wasted body, he constantly repeats my name. Therefore, take steps, my friend, I beseech you, that I may soon be able to see him again. If, on the other hand, I reach there on the expiry of the term of my exile, I do not expect to find my brother alive. And even as the Lord recalled his brother's affection, he felt a thrill all over his body again and again. As for yourself, you shall enjoy sovereignty till the end of creation, inwardly thinking of me all the time, and then you shall ascend to my abode, the destination of all holy men. Delighted to hear Sri Ram's words, Vibhishan clasped the feet of the All-Merciful. The monkeys and bears too all rejoiced, and clasping the Lord's feet, began to recount his sacred virtues. Then Vibhishan withdrew to his palace and had his celebrated aerial car loaded with precious stones and articles of dress. He then brought the aerial car, Pushpak as it was called, and set it before the Lord. And the All-Merciful thereupon smilingly said, Listen, my friend Vibhishan, step into the aerial car, and rising into the air, scramble the clothes and ornaments. Vibhishan immediately rose into the air and dropped down all the jewels and raiment. The monkeys picked up whatever each took a fancy to. They put precious stones into their mouth, thinking them to be some edible substance, but would throw them away the moment they realized their mistake. Sri Ram, as well as Sri Sita and his younger brother Lakshman, felt amused at the sight, exceedingly playful as the All-Merciful is. That ocean of compassion whom sages are unable to catch even in meditation, and whom the Veds describe only in negative terms such as not that, amused himself with the monkeys in diverse ways. Uma, continues Lord Shiva, practice of yoga, concentration of mind, jap, muttering of prayers, charity and penance, performance of sacrifices, fasting, and other religious observances failed to evoke Sri Ram's compassion to the same degree as unalloyed devotion does. Having thus secured raiment and jewels, the bears and monkeys adorned their person with the same and appeared before the lord of the Raghus. The lord of Kausal laughed again and again to see all the monkeys, a motley host indeed. The lord of the Raghus showered his grace on all by casting a look at them and spoke to them in endearing terms. It was through your might that I succeeded first in killing Ravan and then in crowning Vibhishan. Now return all of you to your several homes. Keep your thought fixed on me and fear none. The monkeys were all overcome with affection to hear these words and reverently replied with joined palms, O Lord, whatever you say well becomes of you, but we get mystified on hearing your words. You are the sovereign of all the three spheres. O Lord of the Raghus, knowing your humble state, you took us under your protection, but we are overwhelmed with shame to hear such words from the lips of our master. Can a swarm of mosquitoes ever help Garud, the king of the birds? The bears and monkeys were overpowered with emotion when they saw what was in mind of the Lord, with his reluctance to take them to Ayodhya. They had no inclination to return home. But in obedience to the Lord's command, the monkeys and bears all dispersed with a mixed feeling of joy and sorrow, and with many a humble submission, enshrining Sri Ram's image in their heart. The monkey king Sugriv, Neel, Jambavan, the lord of the bears, Angad, Nal, Hanuman, and all other mighty generals of the monkey host, together with Vibhishan, were too overwhelmed with the emotion to utter a word. With eyes full of tears, they stood facing Sri Ram and gazing intently on him. Perceiving their excessive love, the lord of the Raghus mounted the aerial car along with Sita and Lakshman and took them all up into the car. He mentally bowed his head at the feet of the Brahmans and directed the car to move towards the north. An uproarious noise burst forth as the car took off, all shouting, Glory to the hero of Raghu's line. The car was provided with a lofty and charming throne. The Lord took his seat on it along with Sri Sita. Accompanied by his spouse, Sri Ram shone forth like a cloud with lightning on a peak of Mount Meru. The splendid car moved with all speed on its way to the joy of the gods, who rained down flowers on it. A most delightful cool breeze breathed soft and fragrant. The water of the ocean, lakes and streams became transparent, and auspicious omens occurred on all sides. Nay, everyone felt cheerful at heart. The whole expanse of the sky, including the four quarters, was clear. Said the hero of Raghu's line, Mark Sita, it was on this spot that Lakshman slew Meghnad, the crown prince of Lanka. Here lie on the battlefield mighty demons killed by Hanuman and Angad, and here fell the two brothers, Kumbhakarna and Ravan, the torment of gods and sages. It was here that I had a bridge constructed and also installed a symbol of the blissful Lord Shiva. So saying, the all-merciful Sri Ram and Sita both made obeisance to Shambhu. Every spot in the woods where the ocean of compassion had either taken up his abode or rested a while was then pointed out by the Lord to Janak's daughter and mentioned by name. Forthwith the aerial car reached the most charming Dandak forest, the abode of many a great sage like Kumbhaj, the jar-born Agastya. The others, Sri Ram visited the hermitages of all. After receiving the blessings of all these sages, the Lord of the universe arrived at Chitrakoot, and having gratified the sages there, the aerial car departed thence with all speed. Sri Ram next pointed out to Janak's daughter the beautiful Yamuna that washes away the impurities of the Kali age. Thereafter they espied the holy Ganga, the celestial stream, and Sri Ram said, Sita, make obeisance. Now have a look at Prayag, the king of all sacred places, whose very sight drives away sins committed through a myriad lives. Again, look at the most holy Triveni, which is the confluence of the Ganga, Yamuna, and the subterranean Saraswati, the dispeller of grief and a ladder to Srihari's abode. Now see the most sacred city of Ayodhya that relieves the threefold agony and uproots the malady of transmigration. The gracious Ram and Sita both made obeisance to Ayodhya. Tears rushed to his eyes, every hair on his body stood erect, and the Lord felt delighted again and again. The Lord then landed at the Triveni and with much joy bathed in the confluence. He bestowed a variety of gifts on the Brahmins, and the monkeys too joined him. The Lord instructed Hanuman as follows: Go ahead of us to the city of Ayodhya in the guise of a religious student. Tell Bharat the news of our welfare and then come back with all the news about him. The son of the wind god immediately left, and the Lord then called on Bharadwaj. The sage offered him all kinds of worship, and after hymning his praises, further gave him his blessings. The Lord in his turn adored the sage's feet with joined palms, mounted the car, and went on his journey. At this end, the Nishad chief heard that the Lord had come and exclaiming, "The boat, where is the boat?" summoned his people. Meanwhile, the aerial car flew across the celestial stream and landed on the bank adjoining Shringaverpur in obedience to the Lord's command. Then Sita offered all kinds of worship to the celestial stream and threw herself at the feet of the goddess presiding over the stream. In gladness of soul, Ganga pronounced her blessings. May you enjoy a happy married life without a break, O fair lady. Overwhelmed with love, Guha ran to meet the Lord as soon as he heard of his landing and approached his master full of ecstatic joy. Perceiving the Lord accompanied by Videha's daughter, he felt flat on the ground, oblivious of his own existence. The Lord of the Raghus felt overjoyed to see his excessive fondness. He took and clasped him to his bosom. The all-merciful Lord of Ram, the wisest among the wise, took and clasped him to his bosom, and seating him very close to him, inquired after his welfare. Guha submitted in reply, "Now all is well with me, for I have beheld your lotus feet worthy of adoration even to Viranchi, Brahma, and Lord Shankar. O blissful Ram, self-sufficient as you are, I simply adore you, O Ram, I adore you." That Nishad, who was low in every respect, Sri Hari clasped to his bosom as though he were Bharat himself. A victim of infatuation, this dull-witted Tulsidas, however, has cast out of his mind even such a benign Lord. This story of the slayer of Ravan is not only sanctifying but vouchsafes loving and perpetual devotion to Sri Ram's feet. Nay, it uproots lust and other evil passions and begets true wisdom, and is gladly sung by gods, the Siddhas and sages. The Lord rewards with everlasting victory, wisdom, and worldly prosperity those men of good understanding who listen to the stories relating to the victory of Sri Ram, the hero of Raghu's line, in battle. Ponder well and see for yourself, O my mind, this age of Kali is the very home of impurities. There is nothing to fall back upon this age other than the name of the illustrious Lord of the Raghus. Thus ends the sixth descent into the Manas lake of Sri Ram's exploits that eradicates all the impurities of the Kali age. Dhai dhare Guru Charan Saroruhu Anuj Sahit Ati Pulak Tanoruhu. And descent 7. So now finish the Lanka Kand, we'll start the Uttar Kand, descent 7. I unceasingly extol Sri Ram, the praiseworthy Lord of Sita, Janak's daughter, the chief of Raghu's line, possessed of a form greenish blue as the neck of a peacock and adorned with a print of the Brahman's lotus foot, which testifies to his being the greatest of all gods, rich in splendor. Clad in yellow robes, lotus-eyed, ever propitious, holding a bow and arrow in his hands, mounted on the aerial car named Pushpak, accompanied by a host of monkeys, and waited upon by his own brother Lakshman. The lotus feet of Sri Ram, the Lord of Kausal, charming and delicate, are adored by Brahma, the unborn, and the greatest Lord Shiva, and fondled by the lotus hands of Janak's daughter, and are the haunt of the bee-like mind of the worshipper. I glorify the all-merciful Lord Shankar, possessing a comely form, white as the jasmine flower, the moon, and the conch, with eyes resembling a lovely lotus, Ambiga's, Mother Parvati's spouse, the bestower of one's desired fruit and the deliverer from the clutches of carnality. The term of Sri Ram's exile was to expire only the next day, which made the people of the city extremely anxious. Wasted in body through separation from Sri Ram, men and women alike were plunged in thought everywhere. Meanwhile, auspicious omens of all kinds occurred, and everyone felt cheerful at heart. The city itself brightened up all round, as if to announce the Lord's advent. Kaushalya and the other mothers all felt inwardly happy, as if someone was about to tell them that the Lord had come with Sita and Lakshman. Bharat's right eye and arm throbbed again and again. Recognizing this to be a lucky omen, he felt overjoyed at heart, but the very next moment he became thoughtful again. The term of Sri Ram's exile, which was the sole hope of his life, was going to expire only a day hence. The thought filled Bharat's mind with untold grief. How is that the Lord did not turn up? Has he cast me out of his mind, knowing me to be crooked? Ah, how blessed and fortunate is Lakshman, who is truly devoted to Sri Ram's lotus feet. The Lord knew me to be false and perverse. That is why he refused to take me along with him. If the Lord were to consider my doings, there would be no redemption for me, even after countless cycles. But the Lord never takes into account the faults of his devotees, being a friend of the humble and most tender-hearted. I have a firm conviction in my heart that Sri Ram will surely meet me, for the omens are so propitious. But if I outlive the expiry of the time limit, no one would be so despicable in this world as I. While Bharat's mind was thus sinking in the ocean of separation from Sri Ram, the son of the wind god, disguised as Brahman, came like a bark to his rescue. He found Bharat seated on a mat of kusha grass, emaciated in body with a coil of matted hair for a crown and the words Ram, Ram, Raghupati on his lips, his lotus eyes streaming with tears. At this sight, Hanuman was overjoyed. Every hair of his body stood erect, and his eyes rained copiously. He felt gratified at heart in every way and addressed Bharat in words that were as nectar to his ears. He in whose absence you sorrow day and night, the catalogue of whose virtues you are incessantly recounting the glory of Raghu's line, the delight of the virtuous and the deliverer of gods and sages, has safely arrived. Having conquered his foe in battle, with the gods to hymn his praises, the Lord is now on his way with Sita and Lakshman. The moment Bharat heard these words, he forgot all his woes, like a thirsty man who has secured nectar. Who are you, my beloved friend, and whence have you come? You have told me a most pleasing news. Listen, O fountain of mercy, I am the son of the wind god, a monkey. Hanuman is my name. I am a humble servant of Sri Ram, the Lord of the Raghus, the befriender of the meek. Hearing this, Bharat rose and reverently embraced him. The affection with which he embraced him was too great for his heart to contain. His eyes streamed with tears, and every hair on his body stood erect. At your very sight, O Hanuman, all my woes have disappeared. In you I have embraced today my beloved Ram himself. Again and again he inquired after Sri Ram's health and said, Listen, brother, what shall I give you in return for this happy news? I have pondered and found that there is nothing in this world to match the news you have brought. I am thus unable to repay my debt to you. Now pray, recount to me the doings of my Lord. Then Hanuman bowed his head at Bharat's feet and narrated all the meritorious deeds of Sri Ram, the Lord of the Raghus. Tell me, Hanuman, does my gracious Lord ever remember me as one of his servants? Did the jewel of Raghu's line ever remember me as his servant? Hanuman was thrilled with joy to hear this over-modest question of Bharat and fell at the latter's feet, saying to himself, How can he be otherwise than humble, the holiest of the holy, and an ocean of noble virtues, whose praises Sri Ram, the hero of Raghu's line, the lord of the animate and inanimate creation, recites with his own lips. To Ram, you are dear as life, my lord. Take my words to be true, dear brother. Hearing this, Bharat embraced Hanuman again and again with a joy which could not be contained in his heart. Bowing his head at Bharat's feet, Hanuman forthwith returned to Sri Ram and drawing close to him told him that all was well. The Lord then mounted his aerial car and joyfully proceeded towards his destination. Bharat too returned with joy to Ayodhya and broke all the news to his preceptor, the sage Vashisht. He then made it known inside the palace that the Lord of the Raghus was approaching Ayodhya safe and sound. On hearing the news, all the mothers started up and ran, but Bharat eased their mind by personally telling them of the Lord's welfare. When the information reached the citizens, men and women all ran out in their joy to meet their Lord. with gold plates containing curds, dhurva grass, the sacred yellow pigment known by the name of gorakan, fruits and flowers, and young leaves of the sacred tulsi plant, the root of all blessings, ladies sallied forth with the stately gait of an elephant, singing as they went. All ran out just as they happened to be, and did not take children or old folk with them. People asked one another, "Brother, did you see the gracious Lord of the Raghus?" Having come to know of the Lord's advent, the city of Ayodhya became a mine of all beauty. A delightful breeze breathed soft, cool, and fragrant. The Saryu rolled down crystal clear water. Accompanied by his preceptor the sage Vashisht and kinsman his younger brother Shatrughna and a host of Brahmans, with a heart overflowing with affection, Bharat joyfully set forth to receive the All-Merciful. Many women who had climbed up their attics looked above for the aerial car in the sky, and the moment they espied it, they began in their joy to sing festal songs in melodious strains. Just as the sight of the full moon brings joy to the ocean and swells it, the city of Ayodhya too joyfully rushed with a tumultuous noise to meet the Lord of the Raghus, the women of the city moving to and fro like so many waves. At the other end, Sri Ram, who brought delight to the solar race as the sun to the lotus, was busy showing the charming city to the monkeys. Listen, Sugriv, lord of the monkeys, Angad and Vibhishan, lord of Lanka. Holy is the city and beautiful this land. Although all have extolled Vaikuntha, my divine abode, which is familiar to the Veds and the Purans and known throughout the world, it is not so dear to me as the city of Ayodhya. Only some rare soul knows this secret. This beautiful city is my birthplace. To the north of it flows the holy Sarayu river, by bathing in which men secure a home near me without any difficulty. The dwellers here are very dear to me. The city is not only full of bliss itself, but bestows a residence in my divine abode. The monkeys were all delighted to hear these words of the Lord and said, "Blessed indeed is Ayodhya that has evoked praise from Sri Ram himself." When the all-merciful Lord saw all the people coming out to meet him, he urged on the aerial car to halt near the city, and so it came down to the ground. On alighting from the car, the Lord said to the Pushpak, You now return to Kuber." Thus enjoined by Sri Ram, the aerial car departed, full of joy and deep agony at parting. Along with Bharat came all the other people emaciated in body because of their separation from the heroes of Raghu's line. When the Lord saw the great sages Vamdev, Vashisht, and others, he dropped his bow and arrows on the ground and ran with his brother Lakshman to clasp his preceptor's lotus feet with every hair on their bodies erect. Vashisht, the chief of the sages, embraced them in return and inquired after their welfare. Sri Ram replied, "It is in your grace alone that our welfare lies." The Lord of Raghu's race, the champion of righteousness, now met all the other Brahmans and bowed his head to them. Then Bharat clasped the Lord's lotus feet, which are adored by gods and sages, Shankar and Brahma not excepted. He lay prostrate on the ground and would not rise, even though being lifted up, till at last the All-Merciful forcibly took and pressed him to his bosom. Every hair on his swarthy form stood erect, and his lotus eyes were flooded with tears. His lotus eyes streamed with tears, while bristling hair served to adorn his comely person as Lord Sri Ram, the sovereign of the three spheres, clasped Bharat to his bosom with utmost affection. I find no parallel by which I may illustrate the beauty of the Lord's meeting with his younger brother. It seemed as though the erotic sentiment and affection had met together in exquisite bodily form. The All-Merciful inquired after Bharat's welfare, but words did not readily come to his help. Listen, continues Lord Shiva, the bliss which Bharat enjoyed at the moment was beyond one's speech and mind. It is known only to those who feel it. All is now well with me, since the all-merciful Lord of Kausal has blessed me with his sight, realizing the distress of his servant, and taken me by the hand just when I was sinking in the ocean of desolation. The Lord then gladly met Shatrughna and pressed him to his bosom. Next came the turn of Lakshman and Bharat, and the two brothers embraced each other with utmost affection. Then Lakshman embraced Shatrughna, Bharat's younger brother, and thus relieved each other of the terrible agony of separation. Bharat and Shatrughna bowed their head at Sita's feet and felt supreme delight. The citizens were transported with joy at the sight of the Lord. All the woes begotten of their separation from the Lord now ended. Seeing all the people impatient in their love to meet the Lord, the all merciful slayer of Khar wrought a miracle. He forthwith appeared in countless forms, and in this way the gracious Lord met everybody in an appropriate manner. The hero of Raghu's line rid all men and women of their sorrow by casting his benign look on them. In a moment, the Lord greeted them all. Uma, this was a mystery which none could comprehend. Having thus gratified all, Sri Ram, who was a repository of amiability and goodness, proceeded further. Kaushalya and the other mothers who all ran out to meet him, even as a cow that has lately calved would run at the sight of its little one. It seemed as though cows that had recently calved and had been forced to go out to the woods for grazing, leaving their little ones at home, had at the close of day rushed forth, lowing towards the village with dripping teats. The Lord met all the mothers with utmost affection and spoke many a soft words to them. In this way, the dire calamity that had come upon them as a result of separation from Sri Ram came to an end, and they derived infinite joy and gratification. Sumitra embraced her son Lakshman, remembering how devoted he was to Sri Ram's feet. As for Kaikeyi, she felt very uncomfortable at heart while embracing Sri Ram. Lakshman too embraced all his mother and was delighted to receive their blessings. But even though he met Kaikeyi again and again, his bitterness of feeling towards her did not leave him. Videha's daughter Sita greeted all her mothers-in-law and was transported with joy as she clasped their feet. They inquired after her welfare and blessed her. May your married life be happy forever. All gazed upon the lotus face of Sri Ram, the Lord of the Raghus, and remembering that it was an occasion for rejoicing, checked the tears that rose in their eyes. Burning festal lights in gold plates, they waved them above Sri Ram's head in order to ward off ill office, and again contemplated the Lord's person. They scattered every kind of offering about him, their heart full of supreme felicity and jubilation. Again and again did Kaushalya gaze upon the hero of Raghu's line, who was an ocean of compassion and an irresistible warrior, each time pondering within herself, how can he have killed the Lord of Lanka? Too delicate of body are my two boys, while the demons were great champions of extraordinary might. Jai Shri Ram. So we'll continue the reading next Saturday. Om.